Hi, I'm George, the Weather Dad, and we're going to take a look at your upcoming Labor Day weekend. Normally, Labor Day weekend produces very hot and humid conditions, but not the case right here in the Ohio Valley and also in the southeast. Very unusual for this time of year, but also this cool weather is keeping the tropics relatively quiet for right now, and that's certainly some good news. But there is a little bit of a fly in the ointment that we're going to have to keep an eye on, but I'll talk about that in just a second. But look at these temperatures. Here we go on your Wednesday. Look at lots of yellow across the area. We're going to see temperatures and highs in the 70s, maybe lower 80s here in the Ohio Valley on your Wednesday, but still very nice. And the key is that the humidity levels are very low, and so nighttime lows are certainly in the 50s, may even sneak into an upper 40s as we head on into the next couple of days. This is some rain cool there off towards the west. This is where the frontal system's sitting, and that's where you're going to find a lot of the precipitation. That's on your Wednesday. Here on Thursday, not much change, a little bit warmer there in Illinois thanks to some sunshine. This is clouds and rain cool there, as you see there in the Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, Arkansas, Missouri areas, and there could be some flooding conditions for you in that area, but very chilly air again across the Great Lakes region on Thursday. Friday doesn't change a whole heck of a lot. Again, temperatures a little bit above normal in the Tennessee Valley. That's going to be between the next frontal system and where the rain is sitting. And this is that other frontal system that's producing some showers and thunderstorms in this area. That's where the battle zone is really setting up at this point in time. High temperature should be in the 80s right here in the Ohio Valley. We may again get into some of the 80s, but not very high, that's for sure. Again, very nice weather here in the Great Lakes and Midwest region. Head on into the weekend. Here comes that next system moving in. You see that big arc. That's because that cold air is shifting down towards the south. Here's that other frontal system sitting along the southeast. As we head on into your Sunday, here comes another shot of some cooler air working its way in, getting a little bit warmer off towards the west, and that's going to be the trend as we head on into next week. Not this week, but on into next week. And then by next Wednesday, it does warm up back into closer to normal temperatures. That's going to be in the lower to middle 80s right here in the Ohio Valley. But here comes another shot of some very cold air coming right out of central Canada. Precipitation is going to be fairly dry. We're going to need to certainly put our sprinklers on in the Ohio Valley and Midwest. This is where the problems are going to be because that frontal system, the other one you kind of see it there, is sitting in this direction, and that's again where the battle zone is, and that's where you're going to have a lot of rain. There could be flooding conditions in the in that portion of the country, the south central plain states at this time in place. More showers down around Florida, and that's where the southeast and Florida is really going to see a lot of rain. Here on Thursday, it starts shifting more towards the southeast. Here comes that next system producing some showers up in the Great Lakes region, but right here in the Ohio Valley is where we need some rain. And it looks like we're not going to get it by Friday. Maybe an isolated shower. Do not bet on it. If you get it, great. If not, well, don't be surprised either. That shower area activity continues to drift towards the southeast. These frontal systems are sitting into this area. This is on Friday. And then by Saturday, they start setting up in this area. It's very unusual to have fronts work their way down into the southeast. But that's also going to be a little bit of a problem. It's going to keep anything that's developing for the tropics in the Atlantic away from us, but at the tail end, you might get a little spin up. The water is still very warm. Right now, all the models aren't showing anything, but we have to keep an eye on the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, it still looks like it's going to be fairly quiet, so that's certainly some good news. And you can see how wet it's going to be there on your Sunday. Lots of rain. Again, this is Labor Day weekend. If you have any plans in the southeast, it's not looking good for you right now. But right back here in the Midwest, again, very dry and relatively cool. And as we head on into next week, well, the next system is going to start getting itself act together, still fairly dry into the central U.S. and the Midwest and portions towards the east. Still very wet in this area. Once again, by middle of next week, nothing's showing up, but those frontal systems are sitting in there. It's not going to take much for a little spin up and it won't take long for it to develop. So again, kind of have to keep an eye on it. So the bottom line is sit back and enjoy some fall-like weather right here in the Midwest, but start thinking about, or if you haven't already, start putting on your sprinklers for your lawns as well as for your potted plants and maybe even your gardens, because they're still producing those vegetables here in the Midwest. I'm George the Weather Dad, and I'll be back in a couple of days to get a little better look at your Labor Day weekend. But right now, again, it's looking pretty nice.